Welcome to Casually Dressed Deep Conversation with me, Greg Chalmers. Chris is otherwise engaged this afternoon, so I'm joined with my very good friend and now West End performer, Michael Scott. How you doing, son?
Hey, what's up, bro? It's good to chat to you again.
Likewise, mate. Likewise. I was just commenting on how beautiful it looks in London out that back window there. It looks class.
Yeah, mate, I'm literally dying to get outside in that weather today. I think we're
But
meant to be going to a barbecue later. Oh
oh,
yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
Are you getting out the city for the barbecue, or are you going?
No, actually further into the city.
Really? Aye.
Yeah,
An urban barbecue.
yeah, that's it. Do you know what I mean? In the concrete jungle, my friend.
That's it, mate. That's it. So, mate, let's just get straight into it, man. You've ticked off one of the things in the bucket list recently.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was good. In fact, I was lucky enough to just perform a show in West End on London Palladium.
Boom.
Um, yeah, man, it was a fun experience.
So, what was for anyone who doesn't know, what was the show called?
The show's called Here Come the Boys. It's basically a selection of like well-known dancers. Usually in the UK, it will be Strictly Come Dancing dancers, because they're known by the public eye. And they just get a collection of them and then make them kind of battle off against each other for who's king of the dance floor. And we were the ensemble that just sort of made it a bit bigger instead of just having a small amount of dancers on stage. We just brought out the I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's a rough night last night, mate.
Uh, brought out the extravagance.
That's showbiz lifestyle you're leading, mate. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
So it must have been a bit of a baptism of fire, going from a long period of more or less inactivity, just bang straight into the West End. How did you find it?
Oh, mate, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal, but it was obviously amazing. It was like the concept of like getting into that COVID life and just sort of accepting that we're in this situation where we're not out doing as much. And yeah, cool, you're still training or still exercising, but you're not doing it the way that you usually
No.
would. Do you know what I mean? And it's just small things like walking to and from work in these places and all that. Like you're always going to be more fit out of COVID times than what you are in it.
Yep.
So going back into that situation, that like that first week we were doing 12-hour days almost, like 10-hour days rehearsals, and it was just brutal in the body. Like I was limping home every night, like straight into a hot Epsom salt bath and just sitting there like hoping that I could move the next day. Do you know what I mean? But then by the time we got to open shows, I was starting to recover a bit of my fitness back again. It was good. Do you know what I mean?
Did any of your old injuries come back?
They didn't actually, which is really good. My hips are really bad because I tore my hip flexors. And this show has stuff that is very taxing on the hips.
Hmm.
So the fact that they held up was actually quite I think it's because of the way that, because I was very conscious of not been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
I was overdoing my stretching and like I'm saying, like Epsom salt baths and all that. Like I would make sure that I was given every opportunity I could to save my body from breaking.
Yeah, man, especially because we're not getting any younger. Do you know what I mean? You
No,
need to
not
look
at all.
after these things.
It
Do you know
didn't
what I mean?
help that my opposite in the show was 17 years old. So he was an absolute machine and he had every bit of energy and never had an injury before and just was going balls to the walls the whole time.
You standing in the corner like
The set, there's like this raised platform on the set and we ended up on there a lot. And then like to go back down onto the main part of the stage, there's like, you can either jump off it, but bearing in mind it's a bit, maybe it's just too high to be comfortable to jump off it. Do you know what I mean?
that. Yeah, I know what you mean. You
Like,
kind of look and go, "Oh."
you've just got that extra millisecond where you're like, oh, I should be hitting the floor by now. Do you know what I mean? And you're still mid-air and it's like, okay. But then there's these two stairs on either side of it. So every day in rehearsals, it'd be like, all right, so you come down here. And George, which his name was, don't get me wrong, cracking guy, he'd be like, oh, yeah, let's just jump off and run forward. And I was like, can we just take the stairs? We're all right, yeah.
Just you
Yeah.
calm down, son.
But I actually got appointed the director who knows George really well. He was at one point, he turned around and was like, nah, like, when you start doing that every night and you're on tour, you're not going to be wanting to be jumping off. So get used to like walking around and getting used to it because it's just taxing on your ankles, man. The way landing like that every time from that height, like yeah, you can do it, but it's not meant to be done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and all it takes is if you're slightly off balance,
Yeah, and all it
Um,
takes is from being tired as well. Do you know what I mean? Say you've done a 2 show day, you end of the show, you're doing that, and then you just go the wrong way, hit the ankle. It's not nice.
do you find that it was? I know from talking to you on the phone and stuff like that, it was a physically very, very taxing performance. Do you feel
Mm-hmm.
like the adrenaline carries you through, or do you
Oh,
feel knackered
100%.
during it?
Oh, you feel. I think this is actually quite an interesting concept. I've always wondered this with performing. So like going into this show, I was definitely the most unfit I've ever been going into any job, performance, anything. Like I was really not in a good place. And I was like, how am I going to get through this? And it got to like open the night, and I hadn't done a run without feeling dead. Like I
Wow.
hadn't done a run without pulling back on certain bits. And because it's a run, like it's a rehearsal run. If you're pulling back on these certain bits, it's okay. No one's there. You like no one's paid for a ticket yet.
Hmm.
But then I got to open the night, and I was like, where am I going to pull this energy from? Like, I have no idea. How, like, I'm going to be that guy that we Jimmy in the front row is going to be like, he's out of breath.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be obvious, but nah, I think it is. It's an adrenaline thing. It just kicks in. But it's like, it's funny because you'll be on stage and you'll be smashing through it and you'll be like, right, I'm making this, like, let's go. And you're giving everything. And the moment, it's almost like this, like, comfort blanket gets ripped off you the moment you step into the wings. You're like, yes, yes, oh my God, there it is. And like, you're like,
There it is. Oh,
oh, it's the worst thing. There was this bit, it was like mid first act, and me and George had literally been going, we'd done like a good solid 15 minutes straight, no stopping, no break,
wow, man.
flips a lot, full going, right? And like we come off in between the not like in the middle of the number, we come off to like change sides in the back to go back on. And there's always that moment where we're both at the opposite sides and the wings ready to go on, and like we can't stand up straight, neither of us. And that stayed the whole way right to the last show
Wow.
on Wednesday. Like we were sitting buckled over, and you just see it like, and everybody used to laugh because it'd be the same thing. He'd be like lying down on the other side, just looking at me, and then you'd hear the music for the bit that we come on. You'd be the scramble up to get on stage. Madness. It was
So do
funny,
you
man.
feel like after the run of shows that you're like a lot fitter than you were?
Yeah, definitely. I feel good, and now that like, because I'm obviously heading out to Russia tomorrow, and that's like quite a lot of teaching I do throughout the week.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping to build on that fitness and just like, so I'll be coming back in on COVID, like fitness won't be a thing anymore. Do you know what I mean? It'll
Yeah.
just be a case of straight back into it.
Well, you've sort of set a benchmark of fitness, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
maintaining that. Yeah. So tell me, the cast in the show was everybody was all brand new. Everyone all got on great guns.
Yeah, actually, without being like political with my answers, it was an amazing cast. That there was no one, because I've obviously been in jobs before where maybe people have drama with each other or people
Hmm.
are uncomfortable to work with. Or do you know what? People are people. Like we're not all meant to get on with each other. I
Hmm.
don't think. Do you know what I mean? So there is just people that you're like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with them, blah blah blah. And the thing with performing is being on stage is one of the most vulnerable places you can be.
Yeah.
You're literally there being judged by people who've paid to judge you. You know what I mean? Like they've got this like this right. They feel that they've got to tell you if you're good or not. Do you know what I mean?
Dance,
So
puppet man, dance.
yeah, do you know what I mean? Like make me smile, entertain me. So like if you come off stage into an uncomfortable atmosphere, like an uncomfortable situation, it's never great. But with this show, it was fantastic, man. Everybody was just in the right place. No one overdoing it. No one like overselling themselves. Everybody just relaxed, knew who they were. And then, as I said, George was young, so like it was good to. I think it was a really good first job for someone because that was like him coming into a situation where there was no egos, there was no
Yeah.
problems, there was no like thingy. So he actually got a chance to work and experience what it's like as working in a team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think coming into that at 17, man, he's setting himself up to be a big deal, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. He is. But I mean, I've seen it many times. I've seen it happen loads of times, and it's a flop. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm fingers crossed he goes the whole way. But do you know what I mean? It's like I think you see it, how many child actors
Oh, aye.
become. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that thing before you're fully secure in yourself and developed in who you're going to be and like found your own identity as it is. That sort of thing can mess you up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can start getting egotistical, or you can start like losing the love for stuff and all that. Do you know what I mean? So
And I suppose being that young and coming into it's almost like a transition between doing it as like, I don't want to say a hobby, but something that you love and you're passionate about, and then when it gets made your job, then it's very, very easy for you to kind of be like, oh Christ, I've got to go to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that thing, like, I find with dancers, probably any sort of creatives, when they leave school, which they've been forced to go to for so how many years, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they make this choice to, oh, I'm going to be an artist in some way. And then they start doing every day something that they've always escaped from school they're doing and they've always enjoyed. It's all great and it's all fun. But it's that initial moment when you're on a job or something and somebody's like, right, now you need to do this to the best of your ability and you don't feel like doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like you don't feel like dancing that day. Like you would actually rather be doing something else.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where the question comes in of, oh, do I actually love this, or is it just been a hobby and I've like ran off with it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm.
So you get it. On you go.
No, I was always going to say, just go back to the thing you were talking about, people judging the performance and that. From what you'd seen that you'd sent me and stuff like that, it seemed to get the show was very well received.
Yeah. Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised by that. I think it's hard as a performer. I think you never know what it's going to look like when you're in something. When you're in the show, you never know what the show looks like. Do you know what I mean? You've just got you know how it feels. Apologies. You know how it feels. Do you know what I mean? But how it feels is always different. How it looks and how it's perceived. But it done really well. Most reviews were 4-star, a couple of 5 stars. I think there was 1 or 2 3 stars, but the negative stuff that was said was more constructive than negative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was more just like, could have done this, and I think it would have elevated the show a little bit. And a lot of it was down to like things that I know the director Gareth wanted to do or would have wanted to do, but with budget and with COVID and all that, like, we were on a very tight sort of budget and schedule. We only had 2 weeks. Like these shows usually have 6 weeks to throw together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we had 2 weeks to do what you would do in 6 weeks. So I don't think any of the criticism was stuff that we didn't want to hear. Do you know what I mean? Like it was stuff that we knew about. But then there was the funniest thing in the world, right? So there's a bit in the show where just before the finale, there was a beatbox on the show, right? So the beatbox was kind of like co-hosting the show with Kareem, who's one of the celebs that's in it. And then just before the finale, the beatboxer goes, "Oh, boys, come out," and gets all the male leads out on stage, and he does this thing where he'll do like a beatbox sequence, and then they've got to try and do it, right? But there was a gag put in that Robin Windsor, who's one of the older Strictly guys, he's phenomenal. He was first off stage from the last number, so the gag was that he starts getting changed. And then when they call him out, he ran on in a towel.
Right, okay.
And it'd be like, it's like, oh, I forgot about this, da. But the gag went down that well that one of the critics put in, oh, it was very poorly executed. Robin clearly forgot that he had a section to do with the beat, and like ran on stage in a towel. It's very unprofessional. We're like, that's the gag, bruv. Like that was. Like, what? And it's just like, it just shows you how like these critics or whatever it is, and like, don't get me wrong, some of them are phenomenal at what they do, but some of them aren't. Do you know what I mean? Like they make bad calls and bad as it is, like.
But you know, ultimately, mate, it's all subjective, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because some people who go there, who are just going because they love going and seeing performances. You know, nobody. I mean, I don't know anyone that would go to a show or pay for a ticket and go with a critical eye. Do you know what I mean? You want to be entertained. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, innit? Like you don't like, when you never go to the cinema or go to a show or go something and go, oh, I want this to be shit.
You want it. You know,
Do you know what I mean?
If there are glaring issues, then you would maybe notice it. But Joe Public, you're not going to be thinking, oh well, I tell you what. That wee guy at the back there jumped off the stage rather than down the stairs. Do you know what I mean? He cares, man. I know. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of think a lot of these critic people are just trying to justify their own employment, but just going, well, actually, do you know what I mean? Shut up.
Exactly. No, I completely agree.
So tell me, when you sort of mentioned COVID there and stuff like that, how did the production adapt the way they would normally do things to kind of accommodate the kind of COVID restrictions?
So we get put into a bubble as soon as we started. We technically weren't allowed to see anybody outside that bubble apart from who we lived with. We had to test twice a week
Really?
to make sure, and if anybody in the bubble tested positive, the whole thing got closed down. Um,
Oh.
yeah, so it's like, so even though like you have the right to go and see other people if you want to, it was advised against because it's like if you, it's not just you that's kind of, so it's just actually happened. My mate Charlie that I always speak about, who's in Magic Mike,
Yeah.
one of the crew members tested positive and the whole show's went down for 2 weeks.
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's just like one of those things. Like that's part of the government guidelines for theatres opening.
Think how much money that costs.
Mate, absolute nightmare. Do you know what I mean? Absolute nightmare. So then it becomes this thing where your company doesn't want you out with anybody, like doesn't want you near anybody else, and even just other things like so like press night. Press night is like known as the night. Everybody comes, the critics all come, the celebrities all come, but then in the theatre you will hold drinks after, and the cast will come down and sit with all these people who have just thingy, and you'll get to have a good chat with them and all. None of that was allowed, which is obviously that's like
Yeah.
one of the best parts of it, you know. And then in the theatre itself, so in the shows, we weren't allowed to pass. It seats, I think it seats like 2,500 people. We weren't allowed more than 1,000 at any one
Really?
time.
How did
Yeah,
that
and
feel as when you were performing?
yeah, it's different, man. And they had to wear masks, so the majority of the crowd, like, so if they had a drink, they could take their mask off. And I think a lot of people adapted the whole, I'm drinking for the whole 3 hours of
just
the
like
show. Do you know what I mean? Just the whole time. But yeah, it was the weirdest thing is the muffled cheers at the end of a number. So you finish something, you just went, yeah, and they're like, nah.
hey. Yeah, mate, that would be weird.
Yeah, it was strange. It was strange. And then like, so the way that they work the seating system as well is like, say you wanted to sit in the stalls and row M seats 5, right in the centre or whatever. They seats will have a dedicated amount. So it might be like they're blocked 4 seats off that are available there. So if you want to sit there, you need to buy the 4 seats. You can't just buy 2 of them. You either need to buy 4 seats and come with 4 people, or buy 4 seats and come yourself, but you need to pay for the 4 seats.
Wow.
Or you need to sit somewhere else. So when you're booking seats now, you're not just taking into consideration where you're sitting, you're taking into consideration how many seats are in that spot as well. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a bit mad that way. And then the seats that weren't allowed to be sat on just had these massive X's on them. So it's just like, of all the things they could have picked, they picked this massive X, which just like is a very negative kind
I
of
know.
symbol. I mean, it's just like, and you're sitting there like, yeah, performing. It's just like, no.
No, it's like getting voted off in the X Factor.
Yeah, man. Fucking Simon Cowell's just sitting going,
Aye, that's crazy, man. That really, it's. But I mean, the whole industry. I mean, it's fantastic. Everything's all kicked back off again. But
yeah, I bet.
it must be odd.
Mate, the support has not been there for.
No,
it's not been there for a lot of people in a lot of industries. So I hate being that guy that's like waving the sympathy flag, but it's really not been there, and it's not been there for not even just like people like me who perform on the stage. It's not been there for any of them, like the people backstage, like speaking to some of the crew staff, because you get tight with the crew. Do you know what I mean? And speaking to some of them, they've been suffering just as bad. Do you know what I mean? It's just like arts is just seen as this thing where it's not that important. I'm like, but there's so many people that work in that sector. That's so many jobs, so many families, so many lives. Like,
Yep.
it's a nightmare.
So, is there talk of it going on tour?
No, tour got cancelled.
But has it been cancelled? Cancelled.
Oh no, so there's talk of it tour happening next year. Yeah.
Well, that'd be good, mate.
Yeah. So that would be amazing if that goes. I'm just trying not to keep hopes up for it right now. I'm just like,
I know.
we'll tackle next year when we get into next year. Isn't it? Like, absolute nightmare, man. The amount of things I've had cancelled in the past year.
I know, mate. I know.
So
tell me, you're off to Russia tomorrow?
yeah.
Away in Moscow?
I really love a bit of Moscow.
Mate, I'm so jealous, man. I was meant to come with you last time,
I know. It's
I'm
a nightmare
actually,
to
I'm
travel,
actually
though.
so glad I never, mate. Because I mean, when you went out there, you're like, I need to leave Moscow now.
Aye, or I'd get trapped.
Can you imagine that? You stuck. It should be like you and Edward Snowden stuck in Moscow.
Mate, the amount of tests I need to do to go on this trip though
Really?
is mad. I need to take. I done my fit to fly. Then when I landed, I need to do 3 tests like in the first couple of days, and then when I leave, I've got to do 2 tests when I go back to the UK.
Have you got to isolate when you come back?
Yeah, 10 days.
Oh, that's rough, man. So how long are you out for?
4 weeks.
Oh, a full month, man. That'll be class.
Yeah, mate. 4 weeks, and I'm coming back to the motherland.
Brilliant. So what have you got anything lined up for when you come back?
No, actually, I'm working on a project now. I put out the feelers on it yesterday, and it got some positive feedback. I'm doing like a thing in Glasgow for dancers. It's like to try and connect dancers coming out of training and coming into the industry. I
Mm-hmm.
still think that there's this gap between being a college student and being a professional.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to put on a course thing in the summer that's aimed at people that are either near the end of their training or have just graduated this summer,
Mm-hmm.
or people who graduated in the past year or two, because obviously COVID's knocked a lot of people's pathways in a different way. Do you know what I mean? But putting on a course that sort of teaches them what they need to know, which college misses out. Same way that like school doesn't teach you how to do taxes. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think is something that the school, like, you should learn in school from day one.
So when people are at college doing dance and stuff like that, or when they go down to dance school in England, is there not like sort of like preparing you for the industry thing?
I feel like some colleges try and do it, but it's not. I just don't feel like it's done right. I think as soon as a governing body of education gets involved, everything has to be so formalized.
Yeah.
And in an industry that's so word of mouth and so hearsay, and like there is literally 1,000 different ways to become successful in this
Yeah.
industry,
Mm-hmm.
you can't formalize it so much. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the best thing that I've learned to be successful is to be adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean? But if you're in a course of some kind and you're getting told this is how you do it,
Yeah.
then you drill that into yourself. Whereas I'm actually going to teach that. What I'm trying to get into these people is, here's the tools you need to be more adaptable,
Mm-hmm.
so that when you are raised with these situations, you can jump at the chance instead of shy away from it. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. But mate, I think that's a great idea. I really do. Because
Yeah.
I think networking's obviously a huge thing as well. Because you've said you could refer to the sort of London scene as like a community. People know each other, and people are known to other people without just
Yeah, yeah,
knowing them.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Hundred
And
percent.
I think, and that, obviously that's not just for the dance industry. I think that's across the board. But I genuinely think, see, especially linking this back to COVID, people have been isolated for so long, right? And a lot of people are, with the thought of going outside and actually interacting with people again, there is going to be a kind of, even a subconscious hesitance. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
actually getting people to get out and meet people and just and use their social skills and stuff like that, to network, to get work, I think is a really positive thing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and that, mate, it shows that the reason I got that West End show was through people I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was my friend Michael that you've had on
Mm-hmm.
thingy here. He first put me forward, and then Gareth, when I was on the job and speaking to Gareth, the director, he told me that once he got my name forward, he then put it out to other people, and then got another like 4 or 5 people giving positive feedback on me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I got hired based on these other recommendations. Do you know what I mean? And that's obviously down to either me networking and getting to know people, or me working with people before and doing the job right. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it just shows how important that is. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Because I still don't even know who some of the people are that he asked.
Yeah, well,
It's
because
like,
it's like the Dancing on Ice final. We've not spoken about that on the podcast yet.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So,
my little pink outfit
mate, it was the Katy Perry thing that got me, man.
with a beach ball.
It's-
Mate,
do you know,
teenage
right? See, the
dream.
thing is, right, I've known you for a very, very long time, right? And obviously, I know you as a certain type of boy for Clydebank, mate.
Yeah.
Right? A wee bam for Clydebank, right? So see when I see see you on Dancing on the Ice final with like a day glow pink outfit on, throwing beach balls about, I'm like, what is going on here?
Oh, mate. that's performing at its finest, mate. I've just become a different character in it.
Mate, that's
Like,
it. That's it. The
because
concept.
if I was to walk into Adrian Rye like that, man,
You wouldn't be walking it.
no.
You just imagine just the beach ball just rolling out a street. So tell me, how was that?
That was a weird experience. So that was still during lockdown, still during COVID time. So even though it's a studio thing, they usually have a studio audience in it. So I never had that. And to me, that is so important, that studio audience, because when you do TV work like that, you'll be on set for a good bit of the time, rehearsing, performing it, getting used to it, and then it becomes, right, because it's a live show, it's not like a sitcom or anything like that. Because it's a live show, it becomes, right, it's showtime. You got one take still, the way you would on stage, but at the same time, you've got one take in the same space that you've been doing it in, and they've not filled it with an atmosphere. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like being in a theatre, but the theatre's still empty. And you've got to act like it's a full theatre.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah, but and the other thing about it is, with cameras, you get close-ups in it. So if you're not fully on it, if you're pulling back,
jazz hands and all
that. So I actually did that. I actually remember the first number, which wasn't a Katy Perry. By the time we got to Katy Perry, I was living my best life. Don't worry. The pink outfit made me knew I was performing. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have wore that. But the first number, it was just a bit of I need to pull more out of from somewhere that I don't know where it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that you need to keep reminding yourself, this is, like, even though there's no one in front of me right now, there's thousands of people watching this.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
And millions of people.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing where you've got to flick that switch in your brain of, I know that I can't see them, but they can see me. Like, you need to go for this.
Weird.
Yeah, man.
Did you enjoy the experience though?
Yeah, I did actually. I enjoyed it. It was cool. It was a really nice, job, really nice little experience. The contestants who were dancing were sound. Like, it was just sick. It was a good wee quick job, nice and easy, in and out. It's funny, but like coming off stage and people, like is saying, because you don't know people have seen it, so you come off stage, pick up your phone, and Greg's messaged you a picture of you in that pink outfit, just close up. I'm like, oh, so people did see that. All right, okay.
I know, mate. I was like, my sister, pause the telly. I was just like, hey. Because I remember the message back was, I've been on TV for like 10 minutes, mate. Geese up. But it was great, mate. Like I whenever I see you doing any of that stuff, I'm always super proud, man. I was just thinking, because like it's an incredibly difficult industry to get into. Never mind flourishing, right, and actually getting jobs that are, that everybody wants. Do you know what I mean? And when I see you doing all that stuff, and it's like when you told me you get that West End gig when we were away up in the hills. That was it's incredible. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, is the West End stuff something you want to do more of?
No, not at all. I'm not. It's not changed me into like, oh, maybe I could go down this or do that. Nah, I'm completely still going to keep doing what I've been doing. But it was just nice to tick it off. Do you know what I mean? Nice to be a part of it. Nice, like that's me literally now. Minus a Europe or world tour, I've done everything in this industry you could do.
Mate, that's class.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I've literally done every sector, like, and I've done them all at a decently high standard. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I'm in a decent place with it.
Dancing, mate, completed it.
Dancing, tick.
So, if you get this tour next year, then that'll be you, the full shebang.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
So, how long do you think you'll keep going for?
That's a loaded question, that one, isn't it?
So that's all we ask here.
Let's just pull on insecurities. How long's your body got left?
How long before you start hobbling a bit?
How long till you can't do what you do?
How long till you start teaching full time?
How long till your back in sphere clothing?
I believe it was called Sphere Fashions, Michael.
Oh,
I'd just like to correct you there. No, because obviously you're, like I said earlier on, we're not getting any younger, mate.
Yeah, no. I think definitely got up until the end of next year, definitely, and then I think it's time. It'll be either time to start trying something else, or hopefully by that time I'll have some idea of what I'm going to do. But I don't really know.
Hmm.
Still figuring it out, innit? I think definitely got a year or two minimum
Yeah.
still in me. I mean, there's people out there like some of the boys I was sharing the stage with in that show were the oldest was 42, mate.
Really?
Robin Windsor, 42. He retired 3 years ago,
Is he
and
still a
this was him
boss?
coming
But
out of retirement. Yeah, but at the same time, what he does, I believe it. Like this sounds like I'm putting down what he does, which I'm not at all. I think it's just easier to do
right.
for a longer time. It's not
Hmm.
easier to actually do the steps. I think they're just as technical, just as hard. But I think like cause I do like breakdancing and all that, do you know what I mean? Like
Aye, flipping about
that's
and all
all.
that.
Like flips and stuff are a lot harder than la cha cha. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, but hard on the sense of what it does to your body, not hard on the sense of the ability level. Do you know what I mean?
See when
Because
you were
what these guys do is
see
phenomenal.
when you were watching the guys and they were doing the sort of strictly style dancing. Is
It
that?
is mind blowing, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say, man.
It
Like
is
it is.
mind blowing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's two guys in it. Like all of the guys were great. Like all of them were great. I'm not just saying that they were phenomenal, but Alias and Graziano literally are frighteningly good.
Really?
Like they just have this extra thing about them that you just like. And I think because there's like without getting into like a history lesson about it, like street dance is a terminology that's became popularized and common now,
Hmm.
and it's usually associated with like hip hop or
Yeah.
popping and locking and stuff like that, and like funk styles and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But street dance is actually like these Latin styles or street dance. Tap dance is a street dance. Do you know what I mean? It's anything that came from a community
Hmm.
and wasn't like born in like a theatre or like ballet was born in the courtyard. Do you know what I mean? Like that was born in like a richer environment, whereas street dance is more like came from not I hate saying poverty, but you know what I mean.
Came from the
Out in
people.
the street, yeah, we didn't have it, and so we went out and danced. Aye, so for example, like when I went to Havana, I think I said this on the last one. They just grab you and start dancing with you on the street. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just full out. So there was this section that Alice done in the show where there's like the girls are in a diagonal and
Hmm.
he like slaloms in between them and like goes down the line of girls and back up. And it was just very aesthetically pleasing. I was like, that looks sick. And just the connection he had with them and like it's almost like it reminds you of that time like when you first walk into a bar or a club, no matter who you are, when you first walk in, you're checking out the room and even
Yeah,
if
of
you're not
course.
looking for a partner or whatever, you're just like you're checking out what guys are in, what girls are in, who's here, and it's always kind of like I just picture you've got that dum 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 in the background. You're just walking through like okay, you know what I mean? And it's just that it's that moment he had on stage where he just came through them, and I said to him, I was like, that bit's sick, man. Like, what made you come up with that? And he's like, literally, I done it in the club the other night when we were just like, because you just go to the salsa bars. But these
Right.
salsa bars, literally, it's like some of them. Obviously, these guys are amazing at what they do, and it obviously was dancing with four girls that are amazing at what they do, and they just started doing it. And it was like, I'm putting that on stage, like it's
That's
happening. I'm like,
amazing,
and
man.
you can feel the how organic it is. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And that like he's obviously just put it on and not tried to make it a show thing. He's just like, look, this is what we're about. And I think as a hip hop head, like that kind of connect to that. A lot of
Yeah.
what I do comes from that. Like, I'm not trying to be aesthetically pleasing. I'm trying to make you feel what I'm feeling. Do you know what I mean?
That's good, man. I like that a lot, actually. That's class.
Uh,
So did any of your hip hoppy stuff as if I sound like
Hip
such
hoppy
a
stuff.
very your hip hoppy stuff? Did any of your background in hip hop and in air quotes street dance come in use?
Oh yeah, so that I was hired for that still. The whole idea was the director has done a lot of like commercial work.
Hmm.
So the idea is we were there to tie the commercial in with the Latin guys,
Right.
so that it wasn't just a bunch of Latin dancers doing what they're amazing at, then suddenly doing commercial and not being able to hold it.
Hmm.
So we'd whenever it went into like the more ensemble stuff, we'd come through and we'd hold that, and they'd join in with us at certain points.
Hmm.
So it also meant that they didn't have to be completely because it's no matter how good you are at something doesn't mean you're going to be good at something else
Yeah,
just
yeah,
because you
hundred
still
percent.
dance. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. So like the boys still went full out and they still hold the stage. like it might not be technically what would be correct, do you know what I mean? But they're still like smashing it. You're still entertained. You still perform. Do you know what I mean? Like it's amazing. So I done a lot of what I do. A lot of house was brought in. I don't know how to explain house to people for a
It's
podcast.
like, it's just
House,
it's all feet in it.
it's all feet in it. Do you know what I mean?
It's all heel toe. Imagine the Canadian barn dance, but sped up.
Oh man. So many things coming to mind.
Right, okay, mate. Listen, we'll call it a day there, man. But thank you very much for coming on and sharing your West End experience with us, my man.
Thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure.
And I hope you have a lovely time in Russia.
Oh, I will.
And I'll catch up with you soon. So thanks for listening, folks. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons.